We're coming at you live from Buenos Aires. This is episode 1. We're trying our hand at vlogging.
Just want to, I guess, BS with the BSers,
right? And even if our moms were the only ones that ever see this, at least we're documenting our travels and our RTW. So that's the point of all this. We're going to start talking about our experiences here in Buenos Aires, give you some of our tips and possibly some of the things that we've been noticing, our observations about our travels and our time here. So let's get started.
The first thing probably to talk about is just arriving at the apartment we're at, meeting Facundo, I guess the owner of the apartment. I'd say really nice guy, right?
Really nice guy. And at $28 US, this is a great place to have our first experience.
Yeah, I don't think you can beat that price for what we have. You know, hot water, own kitchen, own bed, own apartment. I think it's a really good value for the dollar.
Right. So, highly recommend.
Yeah, and what else? He gave us a bottle of beer, like not a bottle, but like
a liter of beer.
A liter of beer was left in the fridge. 2
Metro passes, which have come in really handy.
Some cookies.
Yeah, juice.
There's some other things, other little perks. So, nice.
Yeah. He recommended a great restaurant. It's called El Trapiche. Trapiche? Something.
El Trapiche, yeah.
Right down the street from here. Great steaks, wine, bread, all the fixing. 17 US
yeah,
with tip.
About three blocks away. Palermo, Hollywood, that's where we're staying, so that area. So if you ever are in the neighborhood, look up El Trapiche. He mentioned it was like a family restaurant. So we're thinking family restaurant. We're thinking Omega. What else?
People probably don't know what Omega is.
Yeah, but
Greek style, family style restaurant in Chicago.
Right, so we were thinking, okay, family style restaurant. So it fit that perfectly. We walked in, there were maybe 3 people in. By the time we were done eating, it was absolutely packed.
Yes, very great restaurant. Great place to have our first Argentine steak experience.
And of course, right, the menu. The menu was about 50 pages. Absolutely overwhelming to have your first Spanish menu, which Audrey's at least familiar with Spanish. I have very little Spanish knowledge, so everything on there was just like, okay, what's this, what's this, what's it? The funny thing is luckily there was like a lunch menu that was basically the specials of the day for just a 1-page summary of the lunches. But we asked the waiter this one thing, well, what is this? And he said, oh, it's in the menu. So he went to go search. After about 30 seconds with it, he finally found it because it was just buried in this menu.
That's how extensive the menu is. Granted, we found our steaks and it was an overall great experience.
Yeah, it was.
Buying breakfast here, that's a budget savvy tip. We have been constantly cooking in our little kitchen so far.
We've gone to the grocery store every single day.
Yes. Weirdest thing here, we don't understand the plastic bag of milk.
And yogurt.
And yogurt too. So you have to be a little bit of savvy in trying to find out how to store this, but
if you Google it, how to basically store your plastic milk, plastic yogurt, it's on the internet, it's on YouTube. So basically you just cut a tip off and you put it into like a plastic carafe or jug.
A glass jug, yeah.
Right? You just store it like that instead of having the plastic jug or, I guess, large container of yogurt that we're used to back home.
Our Facebook followers wanted to know what it tasted like. It tasted like milk. So,
the yogurt was a little bit more watery though. It was not as thick
what you're
as
used
back
to.
home.
Yeah. So
we went to Jumbo.
Yes.
Jumbo, one of the main supermarkets around here. It's probably a little bit nicer than some of the other supermarkets we could have gone to, but it has a nice selection. We went there, we bought this nice $1 bottle of Malbec.
Where could you find a great bottle of Malbec for $1?
But
it tastes pretty good to me. It tastes pretty good to me.
It's decent. For $1, you can't beat it. Right?
Satisfies my buds. What else did we do? Yesterday we walked through February Park, the 3rd of February Park in English. We walked around, we had our first experience eating from a street vendor. Awesome sausage sandwiches.
The roll was delicious.
Fresh bread, hot sausage, and how much did it cost?
It was about $1.75 for each sausage.
You cannot beat these prices
so
here.
About $4 we had lunch.
What else did we do? Oh, went to the Japanese garden. Beautiful gardens. Coming in at how much?
That was another
$2. Yeah, $2.17 for a great, beautiful experience. This little peaceful park in the city.
That was another thing, and we just, we're filming outside. We wanted to give you a little a perspective of
glimpse of city life
in Buenos Aires, the noises. So apologize ahead of time if you can't really hear us, but you know, with the Japanese garden, that was one thing we were walking around, we're discussing, we're saying, well, this is one thing we would never have gone to on a typical vacation because we just don't, we'd say we don't have time for this. We don't have time to go waste half a day at a Japanese garden where, you know, on this RTW, it's like, well, we need to do something to just sort of have an excursion for the day. I think that's what we have really enjoyed so far about this RTW is we know we have time, so we can do those little things maybe that we would not have done in the past.
Right, be open to those new experiences.
Yeah.
One of the funniest things that we saw at the Japanese garden, Japanese people of Japanese descent speaking Spanish, and it was such a shock that to us, and then it must be to others.
I think it was more of you, because I was not that blown away by it.
I was blown away by it, but it must not be too atypical to be blown away because there's a sign, and if we can maybe get to a clip to this, we'll show you that it says, please no videos of the locals. So, kind of blew me away.
And we saw that as we were about to take photos, which is the best part.
We kind of did a little...
We're right there with the camera, we had the GoPro, let's get Audrey talking to this Japanese Spanish people.
A little faux pas, but we saw the sign just in the nick of time. What else do we want to talk about today's events?
Yeah, so today, it's our third day here. I think we're starting to get a little bit more familiar with the city, a little more comfortable. Woke up a little late this morning, but we started our day. The first thing we did, we went right to the metro for the first time. So that was actually a lot of fun. Good experience. Of course, you know, he left cards. One of the cards had funds on it, the other cards didn't. So we're trying to, you have to hold the card down for about 2 seconds before it sort of registers to walk through it. So of course we're sitting there like tapping it. It's not working, it's not working. Finally we go up to the cashier, they load the cards, or the one card, we go back, it's still not working. So when he finally walks by and says, oh, hold it down.
In Spanish, she was telling us in Spanish.
Argentina woman said, just, you know, hold it down, and then it worked, of course. So we got that out of the way.
Yeah, great way to explore the city. It took us down to the
Casa Rosada.
Casa Rosada.
Plaza de Mayo.
Yeah.
Right. The cathedral.
Saw some great things today in the city. Highlight for me, eating at what was the cafe?
Cafe Tortoni.
Cafe Tortoni? You're making it sound a little Italian, but probably Spanish. Yeah, that was our splurge for today. We spent about $25, but had great coffees and sandwiches and this beautiful dessert, of course, with the, what was the filling inside?
Dolce de leche.
Oh, phenomenal. And also a great value at $25, I have to say, to eat in one of the oldest and most famous cafes in Buenos Aires.
No, it was really good. Let's talk about your blister. So, of course, Audrey gets a blister. She decides to wear Tom-Toms today, right?
They're called Toms.
Toms.
Toms. Thought they were supposed to be comfortable.
So how far were we until you got, maybe like we got downtown, we were walking maybe about 2 minutes?
Yeah, maybe about 4 blocks and my blister started happening, so I was trying to be fashionable in this fashionable city and it just didn't turn out so good. So
what's funny is I saw her in the morning and I'm like, she has Keens, she has gym shoes, and she has these like Toms, I guess, that look like slippers. And I'm like, I don't know if she's going to be comfortable in that all day long, walking around the city, because we're doing a lot of walking now. So of course, she has the blister. We're going to have to get it's pretty bad, we're going to have to get a Band-Aid. Don't you think?
Yeah, I learned my lesson today. Better to be comfortable than fashionable.
So after lunch, which was at about 4 o'clock, because right now it's almost 8 o'clock. I actually just got home for the day. But what was funny is one of the things we wanted to do is exchange U.S. currency. Oh. So luckily, when we arrived, Facundo, right, our host, he was able to exchange the money for us, our USD money for Argentine pesos. And so, it's basically 15 pesos for $1 US. The exchange rate, the official exchange rate, was about $8 for $1 US. So we're getting a huge benefit, right, from that additional 7 pesos. Everything basically costs half to us as to maybe a local. So what you do is you go down to this Florida street, which is right next to where we ate lunch. It's a very popular street. They have, it's like almost, what would you say? Vendors line up down the street.
Yeah, a lot of trendy stores, a lot of visitors, a lot of tourists shopping and eating.
But there's a lot of, mainly men, they stand on the side, they go, cambio, 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 right?
Right.
And they're there to exchange USD dollars for the Argentine peso. So it's very, Audrey was a little, you could tell Audrey was a little nervous about this because
nervous
it was
but
very
fascinated
shady.
At the same time.
Yes, and in the guidebooks it says be careful or don't even do it. But Facundo's like, yeah, no, it's totally safe. Nobody wants to ruin their reputation for exchanging this currency, right? So I was a little apprehensive. Just you know, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, the first couple people that we came across looked a little more on the shady side,
Yes.
but it wasn't until Harry saw a guy in a formal suit that he felt it was safe to go ahead and make the transaction. So, very, very interesting experience to do this
Yeah, I don't
today.
think he had a tie though.
No,
I
no
think
tie.
He had a suit on. He looked like he's in Kenya, and I'm like, all right, this is the guy. At least to start, right? So we exchanged $100. What's funny is he was there, and he sort of led us across the street, and there were two guys like. They almost looked like bouncers. So you say they had like black leather tights,
Black vest.
a big vest, like don't
Yeah.
mess with me, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, okay. But they were totally nice and cool about it. And, it was very easy. So we did the first exchange. What we found out was $50 bills and $100 bills are much more valuable. I wouldn't say much more, but more valuable than just your 20s or 10s or any lesser denomination.
And this is an important tip because in the guidebooks we were discussing today about how the guidebooks say bring smaller denominations of bills, and little do you know, if we would have bought bigger denominations, we would have got more value for our money.
Yeah, luckily we had two 50s on us, so we exchanged those first, and then we went back and said, okay, this worked.
Yeah.
Let's do it again, right? Because now we have $200 more, but it was all in 20s. So we exchanged that money, and they're like, well, no, it's this rate with these dollars. We're like, oh, really? Bummer. And of course, we didn't bring very many $100 bills or $50 bills because everywhere we go, it's like bring less. And the guidebooks say don't even do this because it's sort of risky. And in terms, what's funny, we talked about the day before we went to that 3rd of February park, and so in the guidebook, it's actually funny. It says at nighttime it can get a little dark, or in other words, it can get a little interesting because supposedly all these transvestites and pimps come out. And I'm going off the topic a little bit here, but I remember it was like, it seemed like a very nice park during the day. Next thing you know, transvestites and pimps come out. So you want to watch out at nighttime, I guess. But they also said, well, some people go there because it's just sort of interesting to see nightlife, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll be visiting that, but
you never know.
We'll probably
might.
not. Probably not. Unless we run out of money.
Okay, so to wrap up, right?
Yeah, and then the last thing we kind of did was we went to that Avenue 9 de Julio, right, where they have the big, I guess it would be called a spire, or
Yeah.
took some photos there. It was nice. That's where they have the, supposedly the largest street in the world. I guess there's some dispute as to whether it's the largest street. It has 16 lanes.
Kind of reminded me of the Times Square of Buenos Aires.
Yes, exactly. It's just like that. So took some photos. It was nice. And after that, we went right on the metro. We were so comfortable with it now. We put down our passes, got right on, and then just rode back to Palermo. And of course, we stopped at Jumbo because we had to get our toilet paper and our wine, right?
Yeah.
So that was about a summary of our last 3 days. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email us at bstravelers@gmail.com, and we can answer them during sort of our vlogging session each day.
But this is what we're doing. We're just sitting around, having some wine, talking as if we're sitting with old friends and sharing our experiences.
A summary of our last 3 days. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email us at bstravelers@gmail.com, and we can answer them during sort of our vlogging session each day.
But this is what we're doing. We're just sitting around, having some wine, talking as if we're sitting with old friends and sharing our experiences. So.
All right, until next time, thank you.